Hey guys, we're going to cover the driving factor that determines behavior not only for yourself, but also for your clients as well. And it's called the six basic human needs. And I learned this from Tony Robbins from attending events like UPW, Unleash the Power Within, and Date with Destiny. So if you think about what's the difference between somebody that is willing to sacrifice their life for a complete stranger versus someone who's a mass murderer. It all boils down to the same factor. It's meeting one of these basic human needs. And these basic human needs are what drive your emotions into taking actions. And the pursuit of meeting these six basic human needs is your way of meeting these needs is going to basically give you a sense of meaning to your life or fulfillment. So let's dive into what the six basic human needs are. So the top there's six basic human needs: certainty, uncertainty, significance, love or connection, growth, and contribution. The first four needs are the primal needs. It's the needs of the flesh or needs of the body. And then the last two, growth and contribution, are needs of the spirit or needs for fulfillment. So let's dive into these each individually. Certainty is the number one basic human need. It's the need for consistency and stability to understand how you are going to meet your basic sustainability for life, food, water, shelter, things like that. Your comfort zone is also a way for you to meet your certain need for certainty and to have assurances that things are going to kind of go according to plan. And until this basic human need is met, none of the other needs really take priority. And when it comes to your clients, this is the key human need. Like everybody has these six human needs. What makes people different is how they prioritize them and how they order them. So usually people have certainty is one of their top two human needs. It might be first, it might be second, but it's usually in the top two. If this need is being met, or if that's not being met, they'll find other ways to meet it, like going, to the gym or drinking or overeating or religion or something to give them some sort of sense of certainty. But if you think about it, is anything guaranteed in life? Like, is everything completely under your control? Because if you can't control what can happen to you, how do you respond? It's all the only thing you can really control ultimately is your interpretation of those events that happen to you and the meaning that you associate to them. All right. So there's a paradox with the six basic human needs. If we go back to the original page here where we laid out the different human needs, you saw that there was certainty and then there's uncertainty. There's significance and there's love and connection. Those two are kind of polar opposites, so there's a paradox there. So what happens is people get addicted to meeting this need for certainty. But after a while, when things are going exactly according to plan every second of the day, and you know exactly, you have a routine and everything, eventually you're going to want to switch things up because you get bored. Variety is another word for uncertainty. So, moving, changing scenery, changing the way your room is laid out, trying different foods and different events. You might know that you really like one food, but after a while you're going to get sick of it. So you have to try other things. This is coming from your desire to meet this need for variety. Variety is the spice of life, right? So the problem is this: people get really addicted to certainty and then they don't embrace uncertainty. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but if you think about these six basic human needs as like levels of consciousness, we can raise our level of consciousness and embrace like the next level up. So uncertainty is the next level up after certainty. Significance. So everybody has the need to feel important and feel special. And so they'll seek significance in the form of like recognition from others, or for themselves. If people aren't giving it, they'll tell themselves to make themselves feel better and self-soothe. You can meet all of these basic human needs in positive ways or negative ways. So one of the negative ways that you can meet this human need is to have like an angry outburst. Like if you go up to a random stranger on the street and you pull out a gun and you hold a gun to their head, all of a sudden you are going to be the most significant person in that person's life at that time. But that's really not a positive way to meet that need for significance. So when we're talking about these 6 basic human needs, I want you to think about how are you meeting these needs in both positive and negative lights? So most people value certainty and significance the most. And this will ultimately lead to having problems in life because A, you can't control everything that happens to you. And B, there's always going to be somebody that's bigger, faster, stronger, funnier, better looking, make more money, bigger dick, whatever you're looking for. And there's no way that you're ever going to be the most significant person out there. So understand that there's reasons why you want to level up here. Now, remember, love and connection is the paradox to significance. So everybody has the need to feel not only loved and valued and appreciated and feel special and everything, but they need to feel like connected. So physically, emotionally, spiritually. This is the reason why people go to churches and belong to civic organizations and do things like this, is because they need to have that need for connection. And we all, like, literally, we can't go and be lone wolves and be loners. We have to have some sort of need to connection. All right. We're tribal people, but literally infants can't even survive if it doesn't have love. They'll literally die. Now, the thing with love that's interesting is this. If you associate pain to having felt love in the past and had your heart broke, if that happens too much, eventually what will happen is you'll associate too much pain to feeling loved, so you'll settle for just connection. And this is how, like, booty calls and friends with benefits and things like this happen. It's a protection mechanism to protect them from being hurt. We'll talk about pain and pleasure later. All right, so the first 4 human needs: certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection. Those are your primal physical needs. These next 2, growth and contribution, are needs for fulfillment, needs of the spirit, we call them. And so here's the thing. No matter how much money you make or how great you are, there's always a need for growth. Because if we're not growing, we're dying. And so there's always a need to go for the next level, the next challenge. If you think about in careers, we've heard that term glass ceiling. That means that you can't progress to the next promotion because there's no level above that. And so sometimes people will meet their human need for growth in that opportunity to move to a different opportunity where they can have advancement. All right. So this is the first need for feeling fulfilled, because if you're not growing, you're not going to feel fulfilled. And then contribution. So Tony says the secret to living is giving. And we all have a need to basically pass along, to basically pay it forward and provide a better path for future generations than the ones we had. So this is ultimately the highest form for your human needs and significance and contentment. Here's the cool thing. If you go and give a bunch of money, are you going to be significant? Like if you go and contribute a bunch of money and your name gets put up on the building, and you give more than anybody else in your church or whatever, you're going to meet your need for significance. People are going to love you. You're going to feel, you're going to meet all of these basic human needs. So what's interesting is you want to kind of graduate up to this level here. So we talked about how the first 4 needs are needs of the body or primal needs. The last 2 are needs of the spirit. So we all value all of these 6 human needs. It's not that we don't value them. What makes us unique as humans is the ability or you know, the way we prioritize them in their hierarchy. And so, what you want to do is basically do a little exercise and figure out number one, how, what value do I have on these needs? What order do I have them in? And number two is what ways am I meeting them both positively and negatively? And we'll go into this later in the summary of this, but I just want you to kind of start thinking about this. But if you encapsulate this and you can quickly think of what your top two needs are. Let's say that your certainty and significance are your top two needs. And let's say somebody has a need for uncertainty and love and connection. Can you see how these two people are going to react and behave completely differently? So, for example, let's just use this as an example. Let's say somebody valued certainty very highly, okay? And somebody else valued variety. Do you think that the person who values certainty is going to want to go skydiving? Probably not, right? They're going to want to make sure that the chute works and parachute, and that where are we going, what time are we going, how much is it going to cost. They're going to understand all these things. The person with the variety is going to be like, who cares? Come on, let's just go, right? They're going to be completely operating polar opposites from each other, okay? And let's say the person that has the need for certainty, but also is love and connection. Let's say, what are they going to do? Like, if they're being forced to go skydiving, they'll go just to please the other person, right? Even though they don't want to, and they're going to be scared the entire time on the way down. So completely different. This can cause problems in relationships and how people interact. So another thing I want to talk about here are addictions. So there's 6 basic human needs. If there's anytime you're doing something or anytime you're making a decision or a behavior, you're trying to find a way to meet that basic human need, one of your basic or more than one of your basic human needs. But anytime something meets 3 or more, that's like half of those 6 basic human needs, it becomes an addiction. There's healthy addictions and unhealthy addictions. So we'll just use these first two examples, like going to the gym and going to the bar. So if you're going to the gym, how is going to the gym meeting your needs, your basic human needs? Well, for certainty, you might want to hire a trainer and put together a workout plan and have all your meals planned out and exactly how many calories and macros and all that. That's going to meet your need for certainty. Like, I know that I need X amount of calories per day. If I eat X amount of calories per day, this is the result I'm going to get. It's meeting your need for certainty. Now, what happens if you go to the gym and, oh shit, somebody's on the bench press and now I can't do bench press on the machine. What am I going to do now? Let's switch it up and let's go do chest flies or dumbbell bench press or something like that. Now that meets your need for variety or uncertainty. Then, when you develop a really nice physique, you've been hitting the gym for 5 years, you got 6% body fat, whatever, you're going to meet your need for significance because of the quality of your body versus like somebody who's obese. Okay. When you go to the gym, you might meet some people, you might make some friends, you might feel like you're connected, everybody knows your name there. All right, there's your need for love and connection. We every week we're trying to get stronger. We're trying to push out more reps. We're trying to lift more weight. That's our need for growth being met there. And then, hey, maybe there's a way that, if somebody needs some help, you're able to offer help, give them spot, give them advice, doing something like that. So can you see how if a behavior or an activity or something like that meets at least 3 or more of these basic human needs, how it can become an addiction because it's meeting our needs? And that may be an example of a healthy addiction. Those healthy addictions can turn into unhealthy addictions as well. Just kind of like Josh says, it's kind of like where you're coming from. Here's another example: going to the bar and having a drink. Okay. You know what you like to drink. You know what you like. You always order the same drink, but maybe this time you're going to switch it up and get something different. Maybe, you decide, hey, I'm going to buy some people other drinks, and now all of a sudden you're significant. You just bought everybody a round of drinks. You meet new people, make new connections. Maybe you meet somebody and take them home, right? Made a romantic encounter there. There's your love and connection being met. After a while, you develop a tolerance. I'm just trying to come up with examples out of my ass here, but maybe you develop a tolerance for drinking. Now it doesn't just take one or two shots for you to get tipsy, but you got to drink a whole whatever, right? And then again, contribution might be like, hey, dude, let me buy you a drink. Let me cover your tab, something like that. So again, can you see how this can develop into a potentially unhealthy addiction here? All right, meeting your needs. So understand that basically, um, you can meet your own needs and other people's needs as well. So this is kind of how it comes into sales. Think about relationships, right? The reason why people leave relationships is because their needs are not being met. So how can you creatively find a way to meet all six of your partner's basic human needs? Make it different every single day. I guarantee you, if you meet all six of their basic human needs, there won't be a need for them to leave the relationship or step out of the relationship because you're meeting all of their needs. Number two, same thing goes for sales. When you're meeting a prospect, how can you meet all six of these basic human needs in your interaction? How can you instill certainty? How can you instill variety? How can you make them feel significant? How can you make them feel connected? How can you make them feel like they're growing and not dying? How can you make them feel like they are giving and helping? All right. So, most people, again, if you think about most people, have their need for significance and certainty are their top two needs. So, these are things that you really have to focus on meeting first. Some people might be a variety or uncertainty or love or connection, or they might be growth and contribution. Pick up on these little signs as you're talking to them. How can you meet their need for variety? Throwing in a couple pattern interrupts, a couple of jokes, off-colored jokes, right? Just kind of switch things up a little bit. Changing venue, changing scenery. 1 minute you're outside, 1 minute you're inside. You move to the kitchen sink when you're giving a demonstration. Those are examples, okay? So again, go into the exercises here. What are your two highest human needs? And if you think about these as levels of consciousness, how can you let go of your need for trying to control everything and just let go and let uncertainty meet your need whenever you're making a decision. Am I making this decision for my need of certainty? If so, how can I meet my need for variety instead? All right, and consciously making the effort to do this rather than just settling for programming. So if certainty and significance are your top two human needs, again, going to like love and connection, right? If significance, for example, is one of them, how can you focus? Love is basically a decision. Love is a decision to put their needs ahead of yours. So if you can pour into them and put them first, do you think that if they fall in love with you, that it's going to, by proxy, meet your need for significance? That would be a way to shift it. Same thing with, like we said, with growth and contribution, because when you meet growth and contribution, you're going to end up meeting all of these needs by proxy. All right. So remember that all behavior is just an attempt to meet these six human needs, and it can be positive or negative. So, like, how are you meeting each of your needs in positive and negative ways? How are you meeting the needs of others in positive and negative ways? Of the six human needs, which one are your top two? And, when you've been valuing those the most, what do you think could be the possible consequences of valuing those two the most? Like we talked about earlier, with certainty, we never really will have a need for certainty. So if that's our top need and understanding we're never really going to feel, like safe, that's a downside of it. Significance, there's always going to be somebody bigger, faster, stronger, whatever. They're going to, you're never going to be able to be the most significant person. All right. Those are consequences as an example. All right. You're never going to feel fulfilled because you're always going to be chasing the next best thing. All right. So, what do your top two need to be changed to in order for your life to be transformed? And then how will changing those transform your life specifically? So, thanks for watching. I hope you got some value out of it.